Hello and welcome to the Woe Pony podcast. I'm Grace Clark, and this week, as you can see, I'm in a different environment. Welcome to my home. Yes, I'm sat on the floor. I know that's going to be your next question. I don't have anywhere else to sit. Yes, I could sit on the sofa. I know that was your next question, but that would be too easy, wouldn't it? Anyway, welcome to the Woe Pony podcast. I'm Grace Clark, and thank you very much for joining me in today's episode. This week's topic of the week, if you know the podcast, then you'll know that we pick something different every week to gab and banter about and just basically chat shit about. If you don't know the podcast, thank you very much for joining us. I'm absolutely blessed to have you here. Please like this video and subscribe to the channel if you're watching on YouTube. And if you're listening to the podcast, then please follow the show, put the little dingy bells on so that you never miss an episode. I would be so appreciative and amazed. Moving on, this week's topic of the week, crime. I've seen some stupid stories recently of weird, bizarre, inane, insane crimes that I just can't really wrap my head around or give me a really good giggle, because some people are a little bit stupid. And, you know, anyway, should we move on to the first story? I think we should. So, getting into it. A man went into a drugstore in Baltimore, pulled out a gun, announced a robbery, and pulled a face mask over his head. He then realised he'd forgotten to cut eye holes into the mask. He was arrested by the security men. Moving swiftly on. A Belgium news agency reported last year that a man suspected of robbing a jewellery store said he couldn't have done it because he was busy breaking into a school at the time. Police then arrested him for breaking into the school. That's what I'd call... Excuse me. Gosh. Arrest them. That's what I'd call a bad alibi. At least he was honest. I mean, next story, two men tried to pull the front off of a cash machine by running a chain from the machine to the bumper of their pickup truck. Instead of pulling the front panel off the machine, they pulled the bumper off of their truck. Scared, they fled the scene and drove home with the chain still attached to the machine. Their bumper was still attached to the chain, and the vehicle's license plate was still attached to the bumper. Love that for them. Next one. A man attempted to siphon petrol from a motorhome parked on a street in Seattle. The police, when they arrived, found an ill man curled up next to the motorhome. He was trying to steal gasoline and plugged his hose into the motorhome sewage tank by mistake. I feel like that one's only horrifying if you know how people siphon fuel out of a car. The owner of the vehicle declined to press charges, saying that it was the best laugh he'd ever had. Well, that's nice, isn't it? And if it had made him ill, then I think he's got his payback anyway. Oh, God. I'm sucking up shit, honestly. Let's move on to another story. A Victorian house in Dartford, Kent, was the scene for this hilarious story of failure. Failure! The robber, armed with only a hammer, attempted to smash his way into the house through the front windows. The man somehow got his foot caught and was unable to free himself. He was left hanging upside down in the window frame for more than an hour as a crowd of 30 neighbours and passers-by gathered to ridicule him. That's such a British response. Just sheer disappointment.
I'm disappointed in you. I will embarrass you.
Apparently someone called out, "Hang in there, mate." The police were seen laughing as they arrested the burglar. Well, yeah, sounds about right, doesn't it? Next story. A man who spent 20 years in prison for a bank robbery thought he would try it again, because some people don't learn. He demanded and received several thousands of dollars from two surprised bank cashiers. He fled and spilled hundreds of dollars of notes on the floor, attempted to stuff some cash into his pockets to get away. When he reached his car, he realised he had locked his keys inside. The burglar promptly took to his heels and fled the scene on foot, followed by 2 passers-by who grabbed him. The felon attempted to pull out his gun, but instead shot himself in the leg. He kept fighting the people that were trying to arrest him, but one of them shot him. America. People are searching for a burglar who was beaten by his victim. The beating was inflicted by a 42-year-old woman who discovered the man in her back garden in Norwich. He tried to flee, but got stuck on a fence, and the woman thrashed him with a bamboo cane. The bungling burglar ran away and later knocked over a broom in a garden nearby. He then apparently became dazzled by a bright security light and fell into a garden pond before making his escape. Let's have a couple more for part 1. Over $1,000 falls out of alleged drug dealer's butt in county jail. That's the headline for this article. Police in Marion County, Florida, pulled over a 26-year-old man for speeding. After they apparently smelled marijuana, they searched his car, found a bunch of drugs, specifically meth, crack and heroin, and some money. They took him into custody, but when they arrived at the station, the money had vanished. It was a short-lived mystery. Money started falling out of his backside in the form of $20 bills, like he was some kind of gastrointestinal ATM. According to a Facebook post from the sheriff's office, after a necessary but undesirable process for everyone involved, the detention deputies located $1,090 in US currency hidden in the man's rectum. Oh gosh. One more? Let's do one more, shall we? Headline of the next article is alleged bandit gets stuck in chimney. Like Santa. If someone's arrested Santa, I should be very disappointed. A man in California attempted to rob a home by sneaking in through the chimney. A move known as the reverse Santa. He climbed into the chimney, but that's as far as he got, as he severely misjudged its width. Desperate for help, his female partner in crime allegedly tried to break into the house to help him, which police believe triggered the home's burglar alarm. She then called the police for help before escaping into the night. Meanwhile, firefighters tried to pry the man free from the chimney. He was taken into police custody, where he posed for a mugshot covered in soot. Let's have a look at the picture. Oh dear. Oh. I bet his hair was blonde before that picture. Okay, I think actually one more and then we will bring part 1 to an end, because the title of this article is Circumcision by Gun. Not sure if it's appropriate. A robber in Chicago faced the ultimate punishment when he shot his own... Oh dear. In October, the 19-year-old held up a hot dog stand with a gun in the West Pullman neighbourhood on City's South Side shortly after 6 a.m. A hot dog stand at 6 a.m? Do hot dog stands open at 6 a.m? Who's eating a hot dog at 6 in the morning? If you're watching this and you're American, can you please tell me more about hot dog stands? Because we don't have them in the UK. I'm very confused. After snatching the cash, he made a break for it and his gun accidentally discharged into his pocket. The unlucky robber was taken to a medical centre and arrested. He joins the ranks of other infamous unicorn movie villains like the mugger from RoboCop and the villain from 21 Jump Street. And on that note, I think that's enough for part 1 of today's episode of crime. Let me know if you've got any stupid stories that you've heard of, maybe even local stories of low-key criminals that have really just absolutely failed. I love them.
I thrive off of these stories, the stupidity!
I love it. Please make sure that you like this video and subscribe to my YouTube channel, and make sure you hit the little notification bell so that you never miss one of my videos, and I will be right back with part 2. Thank you.